Hey, y'all. There we go. How's it going?
Hello?
Let me change my main. Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, yeah,
Yes,
got
I
you
can
loud
hear
and
you.
clear.
I cannot see you.
You can't see me. Okay, well, I can see me.
Yeah.
I got you.
Do you have the
Cool.
view changed to maybe speaker view or maybe double clicked on you?
It
Maybe.
says about some. I don't
Luigi, can you
understand.
see me?
No, I don't. No.
You might have to give it access to be able to see the video.
All right.
There we go. See John in the Golden Gate.
Yeah, I got to change that video because we're nowhere near there.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, y'all, my name's Drew, and I'm from MakerMade, and this is just an open Q&A session. So any questions you all have or anything you want to chat about projects or troubleshooting or anything, we're here to help.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Can I help y'all with anything?
talk? Yes. So my issue are one with the CNC with the router and one with the laser.
Okay. Yeah.
Now,
what's up?
when I try to when I load a program and I run it, it always goes send me a message saying unexpected command letter, and I have to so it goes pause it, and then I have to resume a lot of time during the work.
Oh, is it disconnecting, like Maker versus disconnecting?
No, it's not disconnecting. It just goes like I pause it, and then I have to hit again play to keep going.
What program are you using to create your G code?
Easel.
An easel. Okay. So in easel, do you have tiling set on? Do you know? Did you set your space to be like 4x8, like a full space, or are you cutting in a smaller area? Like on
Yeah,
your dimension?
I'm cutting a smaller area. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you want to make sure that the tiling is off in easel. Tiling is when it will kind of split everything into different smaller cuts. So most CNC machines aren't as large as the M2. So tiling like makes it so you can cut out like a large thing in a bunch of pieces. And that could be why it's starting and stopping a bunch, because it has some, it's thinking that it's going outside of that area. Like if it's going and then it thinks it needs to stop to put a new piece on, then you have to resume. So it's like pausing, so then you can switch out your stock material on like a smaller machine and then hit resume again, and then it would cut, and then it would pause. So you have to switch out your material and hit resume. So it's kind of like, as it's trying to cut that smaller part.
How do I, so should I put like the dimension of the full sheet, the 4x8 sheet?
Yes.
Or just, okay.
Yeah, so you want to put your full dimensions in easel, and then when it brings up and you put in 4 dimensions, it's gonna, when you say you want it to be that large, like 2,500 millimeters or something, then it's gonna say, whoa, do you want to do tiling? And it's gonna pop up with this thing, and it'll be like the first little slider, and you slide that over, and that turns the tiling off. And I bet that's your issue, because it sounds like it's something in the G code. If it's not disconnecting from Makerverse, then it's something going on with the G code.
All right, so I got where it says add material, I put my size, and then I switch enable tiling, yes.
Disable tiling.
Yes, okay.
So disable the tiling, yeah. Because the tiling is when it's doing a bunch of small cuts, like a bunch of 2x2 foot cuts instead of one big 4x8 foot cut, for instance.
Okay.
So yeah, that enables people with more standard desktop CNC machines to make big stuff, and then they would just like glue or put all the pieces together at the end, and then they would make it like a big project. But since the M2 is already, you can cut a full sheet of ply, then you don't have to rip your ply beforehand. It can just cut out your project right on it.
Yeah, but even though my file is smaller than the tile that I have, which in this case is 300 by 200.
If it's going outside of that tiling area, that's probably what it's doing, because it thinks that it's going outside of the of the bounds of your cut. Like so easel thinks that it's going outside of your machine area, so it's pausing. That would be my guess. with what's going on.
Well, but my material is 304 by 200 in this case, the file I just opened, and my file is smaller, is inside the tile, but
Okay.
it's still happening.
So you still want to set your easel, like your full build area and easel, to be your 4 by 8 feet. So even if your model is going to be smaller, so easel knows in relation to where everything is on your M2, then it's going to know where it is. So it knows that, you know, that 0 point where it's going to start, you can kind of set where that home is. And on the M2, it's going to be right in the center. So even if you have a smaller piece, you want to set your size in easel to be as big as your actual M2 cutting area, even if your file is smaller.
Okay, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the only thing where it says enable tiling, it doesn't allow me to change to yes.
So that might be because you have like a different machine. So it depends on what machine you have chosen, but it should and allow you to disable it. At least I thought it did, unless they change that to be a advanced feature, which they might have. But I was in there, I guess last time I cut something in easel and did that was about 2 weeks ago, and I could switch it. So it might be because of your size. Maybe it thinks that if you change your machine size first, then it might let you disable the tiling.
I'm trying, but it doesn't. By the way, at least now I know what's the problem, and then I can deal with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And if you want to send a message to us, like support@makermade.com, then we can help you troubleshoot if it's not that. We can kind of work on it. And if I have time here in a little bit, I can look it up and see if there's a switch or something that you got to flip to make it work.
Okay. Now about the laser, I just mounted the laser yesterday for the first time.
Sweet.
And I cut let's say my name, really small things just to try.
Yeah.
And what does is like engrave the path, like the travel time to get to the point that my first letter starts. It makes the line. So engrave the path too, not only the file.
So it's on like the whole time while it was moving over?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you make sure that those settings, like in the laser setup guide where you have to change those settings over on the left, did you make sure that you changed those settings to turn your laser intensity off?
About light burn?
Not in Lightburn, but in MakerVerse itself.
MakerVerse itself.
Yes. So let me see if this one that I have is on.
Okay, I'm in MakerVerse now.
Yeah, so it's over on here. Let me shrink all these other windows and I'll share my screen with you.
Setting. Okay. Setting. Good.
There we go. Shrink all these, minimize. Right, so I think this one has it set up, and I'll pull up the document too so we can double check, because I don't remember the exact numbers on it, but I can pull them up really fast here. All right, so pulled up.
Are you in settings?
So I'm not sharing my screen yet. No, I'm clearing
Okay.
all my stuff out of the way. I got a bunch of stuff on my, desktop.
I believe so.
There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna share my screen with you so you can see it now. So in the Lightburn setup guide, where it kind of walks you through what you're gonna do, once you have Lightburn all set up, inside of MakerVerse, you have to click on the settings over here on the left and make sure that the maximum spindle speed, the minimum spindle speed, and the laser mode are all enabled. Do you have those set?
Speed and?
Yes. So like inside of MakerVerse. So we'll click settings.
Yeah.
Right here. And then when you scroll down, you want to make sure that those are set right here. So like these, so these aren't set because this isn't set up for a laser yet. So I can just change these values right now. So maximum spindle speed is 30. And then hit the save button right here.
Okay.
And it'll kind of reload. Oh, it's 1,000. 30 is the G code. Maximum spindle is 1,000.
1,000. Okay.
1,000, yes.
Okay. And what's the other command I have to hit?
So right under that is minimum, and you want to make that 0, like it's got right here in the Lightburn guide. 0, yeah.
Minimum has to be 0.
So yeah, maximum 1,000, minimum 0.
All right.
And then laser mode, right underneath that, it should be 1 on laser mode.
Okay.
Yeah. So then when you select laser mode 1 and then hit save, then it should save them. And you have to do one at a time. So see, when I change that laser mode, it switched my minimum spindle back to 4,000. Because you can only do one at a time, and then you have to click save, and then change one thing, and then hit save, and then one thing, and then it saves. It's kind of a thing with MakerVerse. So it should be just like this. So 1,000 maximum spindle speed, 0 your minimum, and then laser mode enabled 1.
Okay, and this the one affect the milling when I switch back to the router. Okay.
Nope, not at all. Yeah, that won't affect it. Yeah, so that's just for the laser side, because you don't have a spindle attached, so it's just the places where it plugs into the actual board. It's just telling that to set that for the laser specifications, basically. But that's not going to change anything because you don't control a spindle with your board. So someday we'll have that, but right now we don't. And then if that doesn't work for you, then like I said before, send us a message and we can find out if something's going on with your board, because we might have to do like help you flash your board, or check your version of MakerVerse and some stuff like that we can kind of walk you through. But that should fix it.
Oh, now I can see you.
You can see me? Okay, sweet. Awesome.
And probably now you will see me finally.
Yeah, there you go. I see you. Hey, Luigi.
Yeah. So
that should fix it for you.
There is someone else needs help.
Yeah, we can go around the horn. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So John or Don or H158988. Can I help you all with anything?
Yeah,
I'm good. John. I'm just fly on the wall.
Yeah, right on. Have you gotten an M2, John? Or are you just hanging out?
Yes, I got the M2. I'm in the process of building the frame. I've got the the M2 assembled.
Nice,
my couple questions. The one bag comes with white spacers and 4 sprockets, not 2. And I was wondering, what are the white spacers? Yeah, what's that for? I have not seen it in a video or your instructions.
Yeah, so these are, there's like a little note in there somewhere, but it might have gotten lost. Sometimes they get kind of deleted in the different versions and stuff. But these are for different frame builds. So these spacers are for the chains, and they're for chain maintenance. So here, if I kind of like crank my camera up here, you'll see what I mean. So if I crank this up here, so let's see, can you see it? Maybe.
Yeah, I can see it right there. Yep.
So up here where the chain is, the spacers can pull the chain into a different spot. So the big nail goes through the spacer, and then you can kind of move your chain around. So the old Maslow frames, for the original Maslow, that you kind of had to use some chain maintenance to keep the chains on the sprockets themselves. So these spacers are for some of those unique frame designs. So we left those in there in case somebody wants to build like one of those old frame designs, or if you want to do like your own custom design that's not like one of our standard frames, then you can use the spacers to be able to do that. So that's what the big nails and the spacers are for. So kind of unique frame designs. And you can kind of do some chain maintenance and stuff like that to make sure they stay on the sprockets and then they're flowing where they need to flow.
Sort of a tensioner or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So because they can like pull it down, and then you can have the chain wrap around it and make sure that it doesn't like the spring doesn't get too loose. Some of the old original Maslows too had a weight system instead of a spring. So then this would help with that. So it would like loop around the spacer, and then it'd have a weight hanging off at the end of the chain, and that would kind of have a tension. So it's just an extra thing that we have for people that want to do custom stuff.
Just use the spring.
Yeah, the spring is way easier.
It works good.
Yeah, the spring's we recommend using the spring for sure.
Yeah,
Another
the
thing
spring
I've
works
noticed
great.
is I've seen full sheets for the wasteboard or for the canvas, and your kit plans come with the 2x4 pieces of OSB and that. Can you lay over on top of that canvas another piece that become your wasteboard?
Sure. Yeah. If you want to build it with, so the reason that we made the canvas, these like small pieces, let me back up a little bit, is to make them easier to move around. Because if you have like two of the canvases, you know, you can have one for the smaller frame, and then you can have two for the standard and XL frame. And they're just a lot easier to move around and easier to build and easier to kind of get leveled and set up is what we found out. But if you want to just like put another piece of you know, ply as your wasteboard on top of that and hammer it down, like absolutely, that's totally fine. Yeah, just make it, it's already going to be at that 15-degree angle, and just make sure that, you know, if you put like a footer on the bottom to help your other material sit on there and like make sure that's level, then yeah, you can totally do that if you want to.
Yeah,
you can even take out, yeah, if you don't even want to put these little like you know, OBS or cheap ply parts in there, then you could just use, you know, a full 4x8 if you want to. It's just, these are pretty cheap. Like at Home Depot and Lowe's, these little 2x4 parts are way less expensive than like a full 4x8 sheet. So we did that too to kind of help save some money.
Yeah, well, I'd rather have it nice and flat.
Yeah,
And my other question is a software question on Easel. Is it a cloud-based program? And can you, once you have designed something, can you move that to a USB stick? Because I wasn't able to figure that one out, because in my shop, I will not have internet.
Right. Yeah. My internet's spotty in my shop too. So you can, it's cloud-based when you make the G code. So you have to have it connected to the internet when you make the G code. That's the way that that they have it set up. But once you have the G code done, then you go and download it. So you go up in advanced, and then you can download the G code, and then that will download it, and you can put that on your computer, on a USB, or wherever you want to put it, and then you'll load that into MakerVerse. So and then you'll be set. Yeah. So you just need it for the G code creation, because it won't stream G code straight to the M2. It's not set up to do that because it's Inventables is owned by a different company, and it does that with their CNC machines, but not with the M2. So kind of the same way, if you're familiar with 3D printing, you can kind of stream things to a 3D printer and it runs from your computer. It can't do that. You have to actually have the G code, because MakerVerse does that. So MakerVerse has to stream your G code file, not Easel. So you'll download the G code and then put it in MakerVerse, and then MakerVerse will stream it to your cuts and stuff like that. So it has to stay connected to your computer, but that's MakerVerse is the program that it uses instead of Easel. So you don't have to be connected to the internet. When it first logs in to MakerVerse, you need to be connected, but to run your cuts, you don't need to be connected.
Okay, well, one last question, because
Sure.
I'm hoping to have it set up with the change today. And so
Awesome.
I'll talk to you next week. But has anybody got an out-of-the-box aluminum frame setup? I seem like on Casey from Two Tankards, he's got like an aluminum frame. Has anybody got that available? Just because, one, like that you say in your advertisement, dimensional lumber isn't always that dimensional.
It's true. Yeah. Not yet. We've been working with Casey to get him to help source that, so we can have something like that, like a small frame. It's just the shipping on it is really expensive, and it's been kind of hard to find competitive pricing for some of the parts. So we've been kind of working on finding a competitive price that, you know, we're not charging an arm and a leg for. And we're working with that with Casey to do that, because we do want to have a metal frame. So we're hoping that this summer, I don't hold me to that, but hopefully this summer we'll have some sort of like metal frame that's going to be Casey's metal frame. So that's really what we're shooting for. And he's not on the call right now, but yeah, his videos, his calibration videos are awesome. So I would definitely recommend those that he has. He's got a whole calibration series that you can go through on whatever frame.
I've gone through that one time already, so.
Awesome. Yeah. So he uses his metal frame for that, but you can use it in the same way for, you know, whatever frame build that you have. So not yet, but we want to. So we're hoping that we can have that done in the next couple of months. It'd be awesome.
Okay, well, I'll get off this and let somebody else have a question. But that comes in handy. And like I said, next week we should be trying to see if we can stay on the plywood.
That sounds great. Yeah. Well, let us know if you need any help. We're here to help. You can hit us up in the Facebook group or yeah, send us a message at support@MakerMade and we'll get you going.
Just, can I, what's your name? Paul. I was concerned like you about being flat. So what I use is MDF with a melamine on top to do the canvas.
Yeah.
And it worked fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Yeah, hey Drew, it's Greg Colvin. I'm the H.
Hey, Greg.
That's my yeah, my Honeywell.
H158988.
Yeah, that's my Honeywell number. So
yeah, that's fine.
so you know, of course, I have a personal M2. I do have some Honeywell questions. But
Sure,
let me
yeah,
ask you the personal M2 first. The you know, you guys, I had the problem because I had a new computer, right? And so I lost my software.
Okay.
And I think I got it maybe a couple years ago. And so I believe you guys sent me finally a link for the 1.06.
Okay.
The original software I was using worked just fine, right?
Okay.
And for what I'm doing is this fairly benign application, but I've got everything all set up and I've been doing it for a couple years on this kind of a small product I got at home. So I'll try that latest software, but if I'm not mistaken, the 1.06, I should be able to down click and just, I can't quite remember what happened when I set it up 18 months ago, 2 years ago, but I shouldn't need to add firmware or anything to my system. Right. I believe that I should be able to just download onto my computer, the 1.06, right?
If you're using that older one, yes. So I'm trying to remember. I think that's the one that we had at our launch. Was
what happened was I got
106 and like 2 years ago, like
October.
October.
What it shows is around June or July of 2020, and I purchased it about October of 2020.
I think that was that version that we had. Yeah. So for that version, you do not need to have a new firmware on your board.
Yeah. So don't get me wrong.
You don't have to do that.
You know, I'm not a software engineer, so I don't really want to download that firmware. Now, if I have to, I will. And I know it's not too hard to do, but I just don't want to mess with it, at least for now. We'll see, because it was working so well for me. So
yeah. I mean, it's definitely, if it's not broken, don't fix it kind of mentality. It's like something I try to go by.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You get into software revision control, you know, because now I do have some 3D printing kind of just basic questions about your 3D printer, but I don't want to, if you got time to handle that, I will. So
yeah, totally. So let me talk about 1.06 for a sec, and then I'd love to field your questions for sure. Yeah. So that version has then the way that the firmware comes from, it helps to make calibration more accurate. So the newer version of Makerverse, which does require a firmware flash for yours, since you got yours that long ago. All the new ones, they come with the firmware for the newer version. And it's backwards compatible, so you could like go back, but you can't go forward, if that makes sense. So if you want to make calibration easier, you know, if you're having accuracy problems, then we would recommend upgrading the firmware and then upgrading to a different.
Yeah.
And we're developing a new version of Makerverse 2 that's hopefully going to be out soon. It's turned out to be a little bit more of a bear than our developers had first anticipated, so it's taken a little bit longer than we wanted it to. But it simplifies the calibration process a lot too, and does a lot of that math in the back end to help you to have more accurate cuts. So that one will also require a firmware update for you.
And I'm okay with flashing it, but what I would probably do, and this is how we do it at Honeywell, is I'd contract with you and if you guys are willing to do it, and just spend the hour and I pay you the money to walk me through it.
So exactly. And that's what I was going to say. So our support team, if you want to upgrade, then like Mike would hop on a call with you. And then if you could give him control of your computer, and then he would just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't mind.
So that's the thing
and that's what we would do at Honeywell, because you know, at Honeywell, I'm the tech fellow for advanced manufacturing, but includes all 3D printers.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay. So okay, so that's probably what I would do, because when I get
Yeah,
to
we
this
would just have to do
project, it is project cycles once a quarter, and when I get to next quarter, I'm gonna be like, what the heck? Hey, so let me
Yeah,
ask you this.
Arduino can be pretty wonky if you're not used to it. So that's why we don't mind hopping on like a Zoom.
Yeah,
and
no,
then,
that would be great. Okay, so
and,
let me
you know,
ask you this
control
on
it.
your you know, on your 3D printer, it's a FDM type printer, right?
It is, yeah.
And so now, as far as the materials go, you've got what the basic PVA, and you've got what sort of materials do you because you're not like a Mark Forge where you've got some of the composite materials at this point, right?
No, the Mark Forge is more of like an industrial printer, and they
Yeah, that's
use their
right.
like, metal and threads to be able to print stuff. And
They do.
it's a different price category, a different, a
Right.
whole different ball game than ours.
Right.
So
Right.
ours is more like a desktop
It's like a
FDM,
Creality or
printer.
something like that.
Similar, yes. So it uses open source designs is what we started from. So
Sure.
a lot of the same parts that are out there, like a MK8 extruder and then things like that. And we print primarily out of PLA and PETG.
Or
Those are
PLA.
the two things
Yeah,
that we recommend.
PETG.
And you can print in PVA, but it doesn't have a dual nozzle system. So
Okay.
even though that it has a dual gate extruder, it doesn't have a dual extruder to print out of 2 nozzles. So if you wanted to print out of a material like PVA, for like a dissolvable support or something like that, you'd have to switch the filament in and out, and that would be a pretty big hassle.
Yeah, so it's not like it's not like a MakerBot, like we
and
have.
even those are kind
I
of
have a couple
like,
of the Method X's.
Yeah, so even that's MakerBot's like next level up printer too.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it's a different system for sure. And because most of the small ones, like you need to have a dual geared extruder to be able to, or, a dual extruder to be able to do that and have 2 nozzles. Like the Race 3D does it really well. Like it moves the nozzles up and down when it moves around, and it can print out of those different materials. But yeah, ours is just a single extruder. And then right out of the box, it can print out of flexible TPU, PETG, and PLA. And it can print out of composite PLAs and composite PETGs. So if you wanted to do like a carbon fiber PETG or something like that, you could for sure. But some of those more abrasive materials, we'd recommend upgrading your nozzle too, because it comes with a brass nozzle. But if you're going to be using those different materials, then it'd help to have a steel nozzle.
So are you guys selling those materials, or you're recommending somebody else for the materials?
We do not sell filament. So it's an open filament system. We don't like to lock people down with filament at all.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Like ink toner. So we like, you can use whatever filament that you want with it, and it will print in any sort of filament that's out there.
Okay, so what about ABS? So you guys, I have a Creality at home, but at Honeywell we have a multitude of Ultimakers and all that. Sure. Have you guys?
And you can print out of ABS and ASA on it as well too. You can get it heated up to that, but we kind of recommend having a heated chamber if you're going to do that. And really, ABS is the best for 3D printing anyway. It's more of an injection molding plastic. So right. I usually steer people toward ASA or toward PETG, depending on like their
Yeah. Well, because like on the Method X's, for example, we can do ABS on Method X because it's got a heated chamber, right? Yeah. And so it tends to stop the delamination and all that kind of cracking that happens. That's the challenge with ABS. But no, I mean we do buy a number of printers. I think our budget's around 10 million a year for buying printers. So we do buy a number of printers every year. Yeah, it's just a small budget. I think we have like Stratasys printers. We have 3,000 Stratasys printers, for example, at Honeywell. So FDM is what it does. What size? It's similar to a Creality. Is that what it is? 10R, that sort of thing?
Yeah. It was a similar build area. Yeah. So it's 300 mil by 300 mil by 400 tall. So it's about 12 inches by 12 inches by 16 inches tall. So it's a pretty standard, like larger format printer. When you start to get bigger than that, you have to have more fail safes, for lack of a better word, to help it move around that large, because you can have problems with shifting or with the weight moving around, especially if you're going to be printing something that's going to last like 2 weeks. You want to have more of a robust system. So that's why we stuck to that like 12 by 12 by 16 area, because that's kind of the tried and true that's out there. And the parts, if something goes wrong, which it always does with 3D printing or with CNC, they're easy to replace and easy for anyone.
Yeah. Now you have a glass base, or do you have some sort of a polymer matte base?
We have a mat that comes with it, but you can purchase any, you know, like PEI, you can put a glass sheet on there if you want like that. But yeah, it's just a print surface that's made for PLA. So
the nice thing with the mats is they have some compliance on them. The problem with the glass is that they tend to distort, and in the middle, you know, the middle doesn't quite set like. Then in your case, there's not an automatic, you know, leveling adjustment. I don't think, right? So you have to level.
There is, yeah. So it comes with it has a BL Touch sensor, so it has auto calibration with the BL Touch. So you need to make sure that your bed is somewhat level, but it uses a touch sensor to go around and calibrate all the prints.
Okay. Well, that's good. No, it sounds like something that's right in our kind of alley. We do use those for prototypes and all kinds of crazy stuff. So
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Then I'll, you know, we'll probably be contacting you later on when we start getting cost and quotes and all that good stuff for these things.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, if you got any questions or if you want to do a demo or anything like that, just yeah, let us know.
Yeah, I think we like to do demos and we like to see what's going on there, but yeah, I mean we just buy them basically to put in our lab so engineers can use them to make prototypes, and we try to get a series of them, and then what we do is we also buy them for schools and that kind of thing. So we have quite a bit community budget as well.
That's great. Yeah, that's one of my main additions. I used to be a teacher, so that's one of my big things is trying to get 3D printers and CNC machines in as many kids' hands as possible.
Yeah, we do a lot of that. A lot of people don't realize that Honeywell is the largest industrial company in the world by market capitalization. So yeah, so we're doing about 40 billion a year. So,
yeah, well, let us know, and yeah, we'd love to do a demo and see where it goes from there.
Okay, we'll set something up. Okay, great, no problem. That's all I had, and I'll try to download that software. If I have a question, I'll be on next week.
Yeah, that's totally fine. And you can reach out to us. It sounds like you've already been in touch with us in support. So yeah,
I have.
Shoot us a message and we'll get you going.
And if I need somebody and I want to just pay them to walk me through it, you know.
You don't got to pay us. We'll just do it.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. I mean, but I don't mind. I mean, we're used to doing it at work. So it's whatever, however you guys want to do it. But yeah, I feel like somewhat of a software novice, not just wanting to do that flash, but the bottom line is I just soon have somebody help me with that. And I do agree that we'd like to flash it to make it more, you know, to make it have more capabilities, but it's just
the newer software
kind of not quite there yet, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's the awesome thing. It's your machine. So whenever you're wanting to do with it, like if it's not broke, don't fix it. And if you want to upgrade it, then we'll help you.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Drew. Thanks.
You bet. Yeah, great talking to you.
I think I speak for everyone here. If Drew wants to walk you through it, we'll charge you. That's all right. You can pay us.
Yeah, we'll just send Don the check. And yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes in manufacturing, you just get to a point where you just want to make it happen and then move on to the next thing, you know. And so that's kind of I had to hand build a bunch of stuff, and that's okay. It's kind of how it goes. It was my fault for allowing my software to go away with my new computer. I figured the new computer would just have that thing when I transferred it, but no, it didn't transfer right. So my bad for that, you know.
Yeah.
One last question, if you can.
Yeah, what's up, Luigi?
So I'm wondering why, for sure it's my mistake, since I'm totally new to those things. When I calibrate my machine, of course, I went through the Z-axis calibration. So it said me, make your tip touching the wasteboard. I did it, and I set it. Now, when the machine is super precise, even though in the corners, on the Y and X axis, but the Z-axis never engraved the deepness I set. Okay. Let's say I set 2 millimeter, it engraves 1 and 3, and so on.
So that does sound like the scaling. So if you make sure that your easel is correct first, and then you want to make sure that your scaling is correct, which it sounds like you did. Like you go in calibration, you go to that calibrate the Z-axis tab. Is that correct?
Those 3 things you told me, like those 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So then in calibrating the Z-axis, and Casey from 2 Tankards has a great video on how to do that too, where you'll measure like how far it moves down, and then put that in that calibration inside of Makerverse, and then that should set that. And then you want to make sure that your work offset doesn't have any numbers in it, and it is at 0 too, because it might think that the bit is maybe a little above your surface. So then it's starting to cut above, and it's not cutting anything. Does it do that? Does it ever move and like not cut anything?
Yeah. Sometimes it does.
So I bet that's it. I bet that it wasn't set to 0 on your work offset. And you can see those here. Let me share my screen with you here real quick. Share screen. Yeah, so if you're connected here, just reset it here. Over here, like your work positions, you want to make sure that your machine position and your work position are 0. So down here on the bottom, if you have a different one set, so if I unlock this, you can change these. So if I move like my Z-axis up a little bit, you know, 0.5 or something like that, it's going to change it. And then if I set my position to 0 or my work position at 0, it's going to think that it's going to start with this being at 0. So even though it is actually 0.5 millimeters up, it thinks that it's at 0. So you want to make sure that these numbers are connected to like each other, and they're both 0, depending on, you know, what you're going to cut. But this is probably why it thinks that your work position might be a little bit different than your machine position. So you'll just want to like move it back, and you can click right here, and then, you know, you can say like 0 out on your axis. You can do lots of different things right here. You can home your machine. You can go to machine 0 on the Z-axis. So you can click right here, and it'll go on the Z-axis to machine 0, and it'll move to it right here. And then you can set it back to 0. So it's probably what it's doing. It's probably going around and cutting a little above, and then it needs to go around again. It's like going around again and then move down a little bit and then going around again. And then depending on your depth per pass and where your Z-axis starts, that's what I'm guessing is why it's not going all the way in. And like I said, that Z-axis video that Casey's got is awesome. That for my 2 tankards, it's great on how to calibrate your Z-axis.
Yeah, and
good. Oh, you're muted.
if you're having any issues at all, you know, you can always reach us to support@makermade.com as well.
Yeah, Mike. Hey, Mike. You up and get going.
What's up, Drew? Hi, everybody.
Luigi, you're on mute, but just something we want to say?
Okay.
Maybe
No,
ask.
I
There you
said you froze for a little bit, but I think I got the information that I need.
You got it. Okay. Great. Yeah. Like Mike just said, reach out to us, and then, yeah, make sure that it's at 0 when you start your cut, and then your depth per pass is set to what you want it to when it goes to cut.
Yeah.
That's some of the things too with, you know, your frame and your wood being bowed or something like that too. Because if the wood is bowed, you know, bowed out,
Yeah,
and it's not all the way flat,
no,
that's going to cause problems too, like when it's cutting. So
no, that happened one time because one of the sheet I put to engrave was bowed, so was engraving in some point and some other not. That is
right.
really
Yeah.
easy to understand.
It's frustrating.
But
It's frustrating. Yeah.
then I put this super stable plywood with MDF on top, so that I'm sure is completely flat.
Great.
I screw it down, but still, it was, instead 2 millimeter down, it was 1.3 all over the milling. So it is probably what you say me now that makes this problem.
That's what I'm guessing. Yeah. And if you ever switch your bits out or something like that, you want to make sure that you re-zero your machine, because you might not have put the bit back in the exact same spot. So
yeah. That's for
you always
sure.
got to make sure you do that too.
Last things. If I can show you here, you see, since I got the new color for the bigger router. So what I'm doing, I'm switching. Since the laser doesn't fit on the new one, I use the old one for the laser. And
yeah, we have that size. Yeah, we have that size that we can get to. So if you want to send us a message at support, we'll send you that correct one, and then you don't have to switch out all the time, because we have a 91 millimeter laser mount that we can send you for sure.
Well, I got also the 3D printer. Would be a good time, you know, to try.
Yeah. You have the 3D printer too?
Huh?
That's great. Oh, so you got the ultimate bundle with all of them?
Yep. Yes, it is.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, yeah, just send us a message, support@makermade.com. And nice, there it is. This is a 300X we were just talking about. If you send us a message for that, we'll put the 91 mil one in there, because it's a huge hassle, like switch out the router clamp all the time. That's why we wanted to have it so you can just stick it right in there. So yeah, we'll put that one in there for you so you can get it.
Honestly, I find easier to change the color than.
Okay, I mean, if you want to keep doing it, that's fine. Just want to help save you a step.
Yeah,
because it's
four screw.
You gotta like take it out from the back side here instead of just loosening these two and taking it out and putting it back. So
yeah, because I have this key that is super comfortable to do that.
okay, yeah. Oh, nice.
So
Yeah.
with this
Well,
one,
if
I
you wanna do it that
go
way,
in
that's fine.
like
We just want to,
super easy.
like we said, this is your machine, and that's the cool thing about this being such a DIY thing. And you know, you do you. If it's working, awesome.
All right. What's the difference in a down cut and up cut?
So in the different bits. Okay, so
I mean, I
if you're
understand
gonna
one
cutting,
pull up and the other one pull down. But in terms
right,
of
yeah, exactly.
like
So
cut
it's all about
precision.
what side. It's all about what side of your material you want to look better. So if you're going to be, you know, let's say you want this side to look better, then you'll do the down cut, because this is going to be your facing side. So like your material, you know, this would be the front of your sign, for instance.
Okay.
And then your chip out and the blowout would be on the other end. And then it's the opposite for the upcut. So if you wanted the other side to be smooth, then you would use the upcut and your chip out would be on the top. So it's all about like where it's pulling it. And then the compression is both at the same time. So if you're going to do some smaller cuts and you're going to move around, you kind of want both sides to look better. So it's all based on like what type of cut you want to do and which side of your wood you want to.
The side is facing you comes good with an upcut.
Yes.
Like
correct.
if you see your back now,
it's cutting up. Yes.
Cutting up. That makes the side I'm facing looking better.
Yes. No.
That's
So
the other-
if it's cutting up, then that's not going to look as good if it's cutting down. So it's the way that it's pulling the chips and the way that it's fluted to cut.
Okay. All right. I think now I'm gonna recalibrate my
And
machine.
Lauren,
try all of
I
those
see
things
Lauren's on
and-
there.
Huh?
Lauren cuts. Honestly, Lauren cuts more than I do, and Lauren cuts a lot with upcut and downcut bits. You're on there, bud. You want to help out?
So I was going to jump in and let you know, like upcut has its place, but for an M2, it's very rare. The reason being is you got to think it's going to pull that face of that plywood or whatever that wood up, and it's going to create those frills on top. You're trying to create a smoothest surface as possible for that sled to slide across up. So you're also assuming that you got your the stock that you're cutting is placed flat against your wasteboard. So when you're down cutting, not only is it pushing those frills down, so it's a real smooth cut on its face that your sled is sliding along, but as long as your stock, whatever wood you're cutting, is flat against your wasteboard, it is actually holding those frills on the bottom. So you'll get a much better cut. Most people use upcut on like a higher end CNC because you need to get that waste material out of there, because what ends up happening it actually starts to heat up the bit more because it doesn't extract that material and the bit gets hotter from the insulation of that material. So with that in mind, the best advice I can give you is use a down cut. The M2 does not move at a speed where that bit is going to overheat. The only time it's going to get hot is in that initial, as the bit drills down into the wood. Otherwise, you've got no worries.
I figured this in a cut I did. Yes, only in the beginning, like when it goes down, it was chipping a little bit, and then it was going perfect.
Right, and even then, so because the M2 moves at such a slow pace compared to what the feed and speed rates that most bits are capable of, they will sometimes the wood will heat up, but the bit doesn't ever actually heat up. It's just the wood around it. And I have found that you can just take that bit once you're done, if it ever has residue built up on it from the glues in the wood, just take it, put it in some warm water, or some kerosene, like WD-40 or something along those lines. Let it sit for a minute. Take a wire brush and it comes right off.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks, Lauren.
All right. I will let you know, guys. Next week,
Yeah.
we're going to see if all this information.
Hey, for sure. It's a fun process. It's a lot to do. So that's why we're here to help.
And it's also normal that the machine loses calibration pretty easy.
It can lose where it is. So that's why that reset chains command is really nice, and marking your chains. So you can put it back to where it needs to go. So it can forget where it is with just continued use. But then that's why having your sprockets on your motors marked and your chains marked, then you can line those back up to 12 o'clock and line them up with where
That's what I do, yeah.
when you reset chains and they're marked with that paint marker or, you know, Sharpie or whatever. And then when you hit that reset chains button, that like refreshes everything. And then you don't have to go through that whole you don't have to go through that whole calibration process again.
That's easy. So I take out the chain,
For
I
sure.
put the 12 o'clock, I put back on the mark, and then I hit the
Yep.
reset chain and it goes
And
back
hit that
to
reset
calibrate.
chains button. Yeah. That button that's right here. Yeah. So that
Thank
reset
you
chain, this one right
so
here.
much.
Yeah. So that tells the M2 where it is. So it's kind of just,
That-
you
you
can
talk
forget
about
where it
set
is because
home.
the trigonometry, and it's one of the hardest things with calibration on the M2 is because it's all based on triangles. So, you know, different right angle triangles, and where it is, it can kind of lose track of where everything is. So if you put it back to that, it's basically a machine center, almost, where you have those marks on there. And then when you hit reset chains, it's like going back to a
Like
fresh
set home.
calibration of all of your stuff. Yeah.
The bottom
And then you should
that
be good to
says-
go.
The bottom that says set home with a little chain. This
If you
one
have an older version of Makerverse, then I think it does say set, but it does the same thing.
is this bottom.
That's an older version. Yeah. Same thing though. Yeah. So you'll do that when your motors are back at 12 and then they're lined up with your chains in the same place that you marked them when you did your chain calibration. Then you just hit that set home button or that reset change, whichever one. And then that's what it'll do. It'll like refresh everything on where it is. And then it'll know. And that will save you a lot of time. You don't need to go back through that calibration process again. It's a lot. And
even though now it shows all these things missing.
Okay, something's wrong. It shouldn't say all that.
So I gotta
something's up with yours then. You need to calibrate again if it's saying all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But normally what
I
you
would
said
suggest
is
going
like,
to version 1.1.3 if you're seeing all that kind of stuff. Mike, what would you suggest on that if it's losing all that
on that?
calibration?
Yeah, I was seeing what is he on? What version is he on?
Oh, good.
I'm not sure. He has set home on there, so I know it's a different version.
Oh, then it's probably 1.0.6.
1.1.3.
1.1.3.
Shouldn't say set home then.
I shouldn't say. Let me see the screen.
Yeah, 1 second.
It shouldn't say at home. Do me a favor. Go to your close that real quick.
Yeah.
I bet I know what
it
he's
is
done.
1.3.
I bet he didn't delete the old MakerVerse before he installed the new one.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a previous version on there?
It'll halfway overlay.
Sorry, guys.
You have to completely delete the old software.
Did
suggest
you have
that?
another one before this one that you updated?
No, this is the first one and only that I updated. That I did.
Okay. Go to settings right there. You see that settings on the left?
Yeah.
In the bottom. Okay, right there. And then it should be, let me see, flip the screen real quick. Not those settings. Go to the left. The little gears, you see the gears?
No, but now it needs to be calibrated again because it went off completely.
Yeah, you see the gears right there, the little gears right there on the left side? Right
on
under
the tab
house.
on the left.
On the tabs.
Okay.
Hit the little gears.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And then let me see. I can barely see his string. Let me see. Go to about.
Okay.
He's on build 304. That's why. 'Cause we have 113 and then 304, and then we have 113 build. I believe it's 296, if I'm not mistaken. 296. And
So can he just hit update there in general?
I'm sorry?
Does he need to be on 96? Which one does he need to be on, Mike?
I believe 96. That's the good one, I believe. Let me double check on mine real quick.
Yeah, let me look on here too. What I've been using today. This is 296. Yeah, laser.
296, right? Yeah, that's what I thought.
296 laser. Yeah.
And see that one's not the laser. That's another build. That's another build that Chris or Zane, one of them, whoever did that.
Okay.
So what you can do is you can delete that completely, okay? And then you have a Mac, right? So just delete it, okay? And then after that, just go ahead and go to the website, MakerMade.com, and go to the resource page and go to M2 and scroll down and then download the latest one that we have. Correct, Drew?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll put the link in here for you, Luigi. And when we were talking earlier about your laser, that's why your laser didn't work.
Okay.
Because you don't have the laser Makerverse. So even though it looks similar, that just changing those values won't do it. You also have to
you
make
just
sure
need
that
to delete completely Makerverse and reinstall the latest version from the website.
Yeah, right here. So I'm gonna give you here. I'm gonna put the Makerverse page in here so you got it, because we just have it right here.
Before I got on the call, was you having an issue with the laser?
Yeah, it was staying on when he was cutting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we changed those settings, over in the left.
Yes.
And put, like 1000 to 0 and then turn the laser to 1. To see if that fixed it. But I bet it was because of you don't have the laser build of Makerverse.
Yeah.
So there you go. So Luigi, I put that right in the chat so you can click it. So that's the latest version. You can just click that for Windows or Mac or Linux, whichever one you need, and then that'll download it.
Okay. So where do I find this link you put?
It's in the chats of this. So you should see like a little chat bubble that you can click on or tap on in the bottom.
You're on your phone, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go to more. You see in the bottom where it says more?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm assuming you have an iPhone, right? Because you have a MacBook.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Go to more, and then right there it's gonna say chat. You see when you hit that chat?
Yes.
Yeah, and then what you can do
Thank you.
is you can click that, and then it's gonna go to your page on your iPhone, and then all you have to do is airdrop that link to your MacBook.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, and you'll be good. Yeah, you could find it on our website too if you just go to our resources. Makerverse is on all of our resource pages except the 3D printer one. So you can go to any of those and find it. And get what you need.
Okay. Fantastic, guys. Thank you so much.
Sweet. Yeah, you bet. I'm glad we found it out. So you don't have to wait another week before you get going.
Yeah. Oh.
Just so something else I would mention with the that reset change. One, I'm a huge fan of it. Like, I know there's a lot of people that just go back and recalibrate.
I don't want to do that.
This piece they mistake whenever that reset change doesn't work is if they don't get their sprocket back to top dead center. Yeah, and if you're having trouble with that, I don't know how many times we've explained how to move individual sprockets, but yes, it's all about getting those sprockets back to 12 and then popping those marked teeth back or popping
but that I found it pretty easy. Like the once you have the right mark, I calibrated this machine already like 20 times. So
okay.
and when I do the cut after the calibration, man, that cut even in the far corner is dead on my measure.
Right.
That's great. That's awesome.
One time I get calibrated 2.0. Like it was like the accuracy was like it suggests 3 and I get to 2 something one time.
Yeah.
Oh, you can get it down to about a 0.5 millimeter.
I will try. I will try after the new software. I will try. And I never did, the last calibration, like the precision one. I'm talking just out of the first calibration after the movement is already me 2.0.
So another thing I would recommend,
Nice.
right, is take, and Mike taught me this one, is that you can export your calibration. And I recently had an experience with this, right, where you can take that calibration and export the actual raw data from it.
Uh-huh.
Recently, I changed my computer because I was using like a really bad computer, like it was like 12-year-old computer, and I got a good deal on like a $200 laptop, and I was like, that'll be my next, workshop laptop.
Uh-huh.
Well, it didn't carry over. The software didn't carry over, and I was like, well, this is a good test. I imported my calibration, dead on the money.
And you can just copy it and put it in like a Word document or something to copy it over. Yeah,
I just put it in a notepad.
That's a great tip.
Yeah. So just when you're doing that calibration, you'll see it at the bottom right corner. I think that's right, Mike. It says export calibration. Copy that baby and save it. I put it on my Google Docs so that I always have it, no matter where I go.
Work with the other older MakerVerse softwares, but I believe it works with the new laser one, correct? That's the one you're using, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. So if you wanted to like the problem that you're having now, Luigi, that's a really good point. So then if it ever drops and it says you need to recalibrate again, can't find this, can't find that, can't find this, then you could just paste that in there and then you have a place to start from.
Yeah, remember all that issue that you had right now where it said missing.
Yeah.
That's a great tip. Yeah.
Wow, fantastic. Okay. That's great.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn.
If you don't have a Google, if you don't have a Google Drive, right, I highly recommend have one for this machine because it already wants to be connected to the internet. So if you have some sort of a Google Drive or a version of that, like the cloud, save your stuff there because whatever happens, it'll save your life instead of having to do this stuff over and over again.
Yes.
Like I don't mind calibration, but it ain't fun to me. I want to be cutting my designs. I want to be building stuff. I don't want to be calibrating.
Yeah, that's my deal. Yeah. All right, guys. So helpful.
Awesome, Luigi.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, well, we're about out of time. So does anybody have any more questions or anything they'd like to go over today?
No, thank you very much. I'll see you next week.
Sounds
Thank
great,
you.
John. Yeah, good luck getting your frame together. And
thanks.
and stay tuned because we'll post that stuff about Casey's frame as soon as we're ready to start selling it.
Sounds good.
And remember, if y'all have any questions or any issues, always reach out to us to support@makermade.com, or you can also send me a message to mike@makermade.com.
Yeah, we'll get you going.
All right. Thank you so much,
Cool.
guys.
Yeah, you too. Take care, everybody. Have a good St. Patrick's Day. And have a good one out there.
All right. Bye. Thanks.
See you guys. See you, Don.
Bye.